Hi everyone, a quick review of syllabification. The syllabification is breaking a Hebrew word or any word of any language down into syllables or its component parts. Excuse me, syllabification is important because, first of all, it can really help you sound out complicated words in your reading. So sometimes if you look at a big complicated word, it looks a little overwhelming. But if you sound it out and break it down to its component parts, it can really help in your reading. Second, syllabification can help you identify closed syllables. So more on that topic in just a bit. And starting with the rules. So syllables almost always start with a consonant. Syllables that are consonant vowel are known as open syllables. And syllables that are consonant vowel consonant are known as closed syllables. So pretty easy, open and closed. So let's look at an example. So consider this really long Hebrew word. Lo tishtachave. Lo tishtachave. And let's break it down into its syllables. So its first syllable is lo, which is a Hebrew word which means no or not. And it's just a lamed with a aleph, which is silent, followed by an o vowel. So it's lo. It's open because it's consonant vowel. So lamed and then o vowel. Next we have this dash, which has a technical name called a makef, or makef, sometimes more pronounced, I guess. And for pronunciation and accentuation purposes, the makef works kind of like it's sort of like a dash in English, in that it combines two words into kind of one word unit. So it's just a dash, doesn't make a sound. Second syllable is tish. So you'll notice a daget or a schwa at the end of this syllable, tish. And remember, in this case, the schwa is just marking the end of a syllable. So it's not pronounced. It's a silent schwa. And you'll notice that this is a closed syllable. It's a consonant, vowel, consonant syllable. Third syllable, ta. It's an open syllable. It's consonant, vowel. Fourth syllable is ha. So it is also an open syllable. It's consonant, vowel. And our final syllable is ve, which is also an open syllable, so it's just consonant, vowel. So this is one way you can look at Hebrew words that look really complicated and break them down into their component parts and perhaps get some help as to how a word is pronounced. So let's look at our special case of closed unaccented syllables. So we have to say a bit about accent here. I wouldn't get too hung up on this because the biblical text that we'll be reading actually marks accents for you if they're unusual, and your textbook, if an accent falls in an unexpected place, will also mark accents for you. So this isn't something you have to spend too much time worrying about, or I guess it's sort of a lower priority item. But in general, kind of very broadly, the accent usually falls on the last syllable of the word, but things can change that. Vowel combinations, suffixes can change that. But in general, they fall towards the end of the word. Now here's the kind of special exception that you have to pay some attention to. So a closed, unaccented syllable, so a closed syllable being consonant, vowel, consonant, that is unaccented with a Kametz vowel. So remember, Kametz is kind of that little T-shaped vowel that usually is pronounced ah. So in a case of a closed, unaccented syllable that has a Kametz vowel, the vowel is pronounced o instead of ah. Now, this is a little hard to remember, I would say, especially when you see it in the biblical text in an unfamiliar setting. This is a rule that longtime readers of biblical Hebrew make mistakes in pronouncing this vowel. So um, I guess don't let it scare you if you make a mistake. But you should know that this rule is there and that sometimes that Kametz vowel is pronounced O. I would say 80% of the time, maybe 90% of the time, it's pronounced ah, but there are these special cases where it's pronounced o. Let's look at an example. So we have this word bahokma, and it means with wisdom. So our first syllable is ba. So this is a vocal schwa because it appears at the beginning of a word. So if you see a schwa under the very first letter, it's always, always, always pronounced. I can't think of any exception to that. Here is our closed, unaccented syllable in this word. So this is pronounced hoch. So it has that ch sound at the beginning and the end. So bahoch. And then our final syllable is ma. So it's bahochma instead of bahachma. So you see this syllable has a Kametz vowel, the T-shaped vowel, and it's pronounced ah. And let's go back. And the same word, it appears in the middle syllable and it's pronounced o. So bahochma. Let's look at one more example. So our first syllable is ba, which means in or with. And then our next syllable is our closed and accented syllable. This is, I would think, by far and away the most common occurrence of this phenomenon in biblical Hebrew because it's a word that means all, and all is a pretty common word. So in this case, the syllable is pronounced whole instead of chal. So it's whole. And then moving along, we have our dash, and then we go to the next syllable, and we have la. And then our final syllable is vav. So bachol lavav. So with all, lavav is a word that means heart. So you'll encounter this combination of words very soon. So anyway, that is a little bit on syllabification, why it's important. It helps you sound out words, and the closed unaccented syllable is important to identify, or at least when you mess up in your reading, you'll say, oh yeah, closed unaccented syllable. I see why that is different from what I thought. Hope that helps. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.